Okay, look, this is not a Batwoman costume, this is a Batman Beyond costume. But it's close in color scheme to the Batwoman costume, so I figured it was appropriate. Anyway, roll on the video. Other than the video about the trailer that I did way back when this show was announced, I have been pretty quiet on the Batwoman front. And the truth is, I have watched Batwoman in the way that I watch most CW DC shows nowadays, in the way that makes me get the most enjoyment out of them. Not by watching the full episodes, but by just watching enough clips to kind of get the gist and see the superhero stuff, them suited up, them doing the fights and all. That's my way of enjoying CW shows. But I know that news when it comes to Batwoman Season 2 has been coming pretty thick and fast for one majorly obvious elephant in the room reason. Ruby Rose stepped down from the role of Batwoman, with reports originally stating that Batwoman's alter ego Kate Kane would be recast. That has now changed to it being a brand new character taking on the mantle of Batwoman. Thanks to a tweet from one of Batwoman's producers, we now have a little context as to what's going to be happening. So here's how it goes. As a lesbian who's been working as a writer for the past 15 years, I'm well aware of the bury your gays trope, and I have no interest in participating in it. That's why it's important to me that as the showrunner, to clarify any misinformation out there about Kate Kane and recasting Batwoman. Like you, I love Kate Kane. She's the reason I wanted to do the show. We'll never erase her. In fact, her disappearance will be one of the mysteries of Season 2. I don't want to give away any of our surprises, but to all of our devoted fans, please know that LGBTQ+ justice is at the very core of what Batwoman is, and we have no intention of abandoning that. So here's the thing, I understand that they're in a very difficult spot. When your lead actor steps back and no longer wants to play that role anymore, it's gonna be a very difficult situation. Now, I've only heard little musings here and there, but given the pretty poor reception of Batwoman Season 1 and the pretty substandard viewing figures, I'm quite surprised that they're even going to be continuing with Batwoman in the first place. But the plan now is that Kate Kane will be missing, and that this will be a part of the new Batwoman's first story, I guess, the arc over the first set of adventures. So the new character, their current production name is Ryan Wilder, and as current reports state, female, mid to late 20s, any ethnicity, Ryan Wilder is about to become Batwoman. She's a likable, messy, goofy, and untamed woman. She's also nothing like Kate Kane, the woman who wore the Batsuit before her. With no one in her life to keep her on track, Ryan spent years as a drug runner, dodging the GCPD and masking her pain with bad habits. Today, reformed and sober, Ryan lives in a van with her plant, a girl who could steal milk from an alley cat and could also kill you with her bare hands. Ryan is the most dangerous type of fighter, highly skilled and widely disciplined. An out lesbian, athletic, raw, passionate, fallible, and very much not your stereotypical all-American hero. Now, this is all the current plan, and the name Ryan Wilder is a production name, so it might change later on. It can be assumed that not all of this will necessarily stick. Or in other words, the new Batwoman OC has to be super cool and badass. Now, here's what I think could be going on. I think, A, they could be just buying their time with this Ryan Wilder character. If they're saying that she's missing and that this is a part of her arc, it could be that they're looking for another actress to play Kate Kane, and then when she comes back, it's not going to be as jarring that she looks and sounds a little bit different, because we've had a little bit of time to forget what the previous Kate Kane was like. Or B, it could be a publicity stunt. Maybe Ruby Rose just needs a break from the role. Or maybe there's further negotiations going on, but when a studio needs money, a studio needs money, so that's why they're doing this Ryan Wilder season. That's what I think could potentially be going on here. Otherwise, this doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing if you're a CW Batwoman fan. It would make Batwoman the first of the CW's TV DC superheroes to get a complete and total top-to-bottom reinvention. That doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I probably won't like it because I just don't really like the way the CW makes TV. I don't really fit the audience demographic that they're going for. You'd think, being a DC fan, but no, it's definitely a different crowd. I'm really kind of doing my best to refrain from giving my opinions on what I've seen of the Batwoman TV show, because I do think it's probably a bit insulting to just view clips kind of out of context and then try and make a judgment of the entire show. What I generally got from it was, well, everything that I had issues with about The Flash Season 1, I had issues with about the Batwoman clips. Now, I think a good cause for concern going forward is that Batwoman Season 2 could potentially start off on a very repetitive note. Now, considering that Season 1 didn't go over well, opening Season 2 is gonna be kind of make or break. People are really gonna need to be taken by this new Ryan Wilder character. But there's a lot that's gonna ring familiar though, like at the beginning of Season 1, Batwoman's origins, Batman is gone missing, she's gonna take up the mantle, we're gonna have a very similar story going on here, I should think. What they're kind of alluding to is that maybe Ryan Wilder was inspired by Kate Kane's Batwoman enough to take up that mantle. This is giving me Nam-style flashbacks to the 4th season of Gotham, when they were saying, oh, that Joker character that you've gotten to know and love and invested in, he's not really the Joker, it's actually a guy that's inspired by his antics. This whole characters being inspired by other characters thing seems to be becoming a bit of a theme with DC TV shows, does it not? Hey, maybe Batwoman will be yet another show where they only talk about that behind the scenes and it's never actually indicated in the actual show. But I mean, do consider this, we have seen a similar story going on with another Bat-centric TV series. To a different extent, but twice as unnecessary. Remember when Jerome Valeska, the Joker, was killed off at the end of Gotham Season 4 and replaced with another Joker portrayed by the exact same actor? Once again, the character we're invested in is written out and replaced with a new character, and it was completely unnecessary because he was the exact same actor. It's kind of weird to see we're going through that all over again, only now it's with Batwoman. I guess with Batwoman it's more egregious because it's the main character of the show, whereas the Joker was never the main character in Gotham. The thing is though, in Gotham they did make it work. So maybe that's just a little nugget of hope for Batwoman fans. Maybe this will be more of a Jeremiah Valeska situation than a total disaster. But I guess the smart thing for the CW to do would be to do a couple of episodes with no appearance from Batwoman herself, so as not to remind the audience too soon of Batwoman's original actress that we've gotten to know already, and then introduce us to a new actress playing Kate Kane that can do it as near as damn it to what Ruby Rose did. They could still do that even with this Ryan Wilder character coming into the fold, however, it's gonna be a bit more difficult, because then what do you do with Ryan Wilder? Do you just throw her away? I think right now, the fans of this show, fans of the CW, that's not me, but fans of the show could do with a little bit of reassurance. A little bit of clarity as to what the actual long-term plan is. From the looks of things, yes, Ryan Wilder is going to be a full-time replacement, but then how do they build in the search for Kate Kane thing? The showrunner has stated that she doesn't want to treat Kate Kane as dead, so as not to enter the bury your gays trope. So I don't know, Kate Kane returned home to her home planet, the Kate Kane machine stopped working. Whatever they're going with. But if that's the story they're going for, they're going to need an ending to that story. Which means they're going to need Kate Kane to come back, which could mean that they need Ruby Rose to come back. Either that or recast her, which they could have just done the first time around. I swear to God, this is sounding worse and worse the more I think about it and the more they say. Honest to God, I don't think anybody would have been mad if they just recast Kate Kane. I know that they kind of want to honor Ruby Rose's contribution to the role, but you can do that while still recasting it. If Ruby Rose chose to step down, then that's her thing, you know? These things happen. What I will say is, I think I'm gonna be interested to actually tune in to Batwoman Season 2, knowing this now, because it's certainly gonna be something. Like, this could go in any different direction, which, when you think about it, could be interpreted as being quite exciting. It's not for me, because, again, really not a big fan of the CW's DC TV shows. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, ooh, okay, what are they gonna do with it? Like, whatever we get, this is gonna be strange. It's gonna have some kind of entertainment value. It'll either be a very smart, very clever transition into the new character, or it's gonna be so jarring that it's so entertaining, and you can actually hear the cogs at the CW ticking over. Regardless, that's entertainment, so that's a silver lining. There's a few guarantees. It's gonna be interesting, for definite, what they come up with. It's gonna be interesting, It's gonna be a bit repetitive because you've got to see a Batwoman origin all over again, and it's gonna be a very obvious sense of compromise. So honestly, while I'm not a Batwoman fan, I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with, for better or for worse. So here's a fun activity for you guys now that we're at the end of the video, and this is how I can tell who is watching all the way to the very end. Why don't you come up with your own Batwoman OCs in the comments section below? Just come up with like a character bio, a name, an age, a gender, a sexuality, etc. The works. I would love to see what kind of crazy stuff you guys come up with. And maybe if I get a lot of responses, I can actually make a video on the best ones. What do you think, guys? Comment below and discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, why don't you head over to channelpup.net, where you can visit our blog page, Dr. Blogtopus, but you can also buy merch, such as this tasteless t-shirt. And I mean, if you insist here, guys, maybe hit subscribe, maybe hit the like button, and in the description below are the links to my social media handles, including the Patreon, where your contribution can help me run this channel, and really keep it alive. That aside, I am really grateful that you checked out this video today. Thank you so much for watching, fellow home dog. See you on another video.